rock just to see who mentioned it lately, and I saw that come up, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yep. 2 people, I think, on average, pass from just wandering off the paths and just falling. 2 people a year. It's probably gone up because more people are coming to the park. But, you know, even when I'm there, you got kids just climbing up on the rocks. They discourage you from doing it, but kids, they don't really think until they're like 30. So there you go.
Your documentary gives a great picture of the park. Can you kind of paint a picture with words as to what it looks like to you? You know what I mean? Just the feelings that you get when you go there. Ray talked about how it wasn't eerie or anything like that other than, you know, seeing the kids play in that park. But just in general, because the pictures I've seen and the video that you've taken, it looks absolutely breathtaking. Like it's a destination spot for me. It's not that far away. So I'd like to go.
What I did set out to showcase, and what I've spoken about a little bit, is the contrast between the past and the present, and about how when I tried to highlight the park, I really wanted to showcase the park as it is today, and I used a lot of steady jib shots and like just really smooth camera angles, color from the leaves of the trees. Like you were actually there, you could see the wind blowing through everything. People just with their families and just socializing and enjoying nature and just loving life in general. And that's what I tried to capture for the establishment of the location. And then kind of delve into the more darker areas with the canyon and different aspects of the lodge and the kitchen, different things of that nature. But yeah, the park. Go on.
Oh, I was going to say one thing that I was absolutely floored by how good it was, and this is seriously, and I tip my cap to you, was the recreation of the confession. That whole thing was done exceptional. Like, I couldn't believe that it was done by just a documentary. You know what I mean? It just seemed amazing.
Mean the actual footage, where you see, you mean not the historical archive footage, right? Because that wasn't a reenactment. That's the real footage.
I think the reenaction portion, though, I believe there was a part where it was like,
where we go to the canyon.
Right. There you go. That's the part that I mean.
Okay. All right. I know what you're saying. I just muted the colors down. I tried to make it look like it was aged. But no, I never really brought in any actors to reenact on screen or anything like that. It was all the historical archive footage from NBC in New York. So, and I don't even think I have a legal right to use that stuff, but I have it.
Well, you didn't make money off of it, technically, right? So if you're not making money off of it, I guess you can get away with it.
Exactly. And you can't really distribute that stuff to the festival circuit because it isn't owned by you. You'd have to pay for it. And I looked into that as well because I was interested in distributing this and getting the word out even more. But for every every second worth of film, I think it was going to cost me about $500 to $1,000 worth of money. That's just crazy. So
too rich for
put a halt on that. Yeah. Man.
One thing I was really curious about. Okay, so you got to talk to Steve, and you got to talk to some other people around there, employees, et cetera. And did you ever aspire to talk to Chester Weger? I mean, he's still around. He's still in prison. You know, I never saw anything where you got to talk to him, though.
Correct. But here's what I was working out, and we were supposed to meet up this July, actually, but he never got back to me. Over the course of about 1 year's time, I think I started sending him letters, handwritten letters to him in 2016, probably around October. And we had negotiated, he sent me back several letters, both of which he didn't really get the point of my letters. I really wanted to bring a crew in, sit down with him, and interview him personally. And he actually gave me his consent. He said, I am giving Hunter and his crew full permission to come in, interview me in Pinckneyville Correctional Center. and he has my right to use my image and my voice and all of that. We got that approved, and I was currently locking down a date with him, and he became unresponsive when it came to that, and we never got any letters. But I will say he was going up for another parole hearing, and I think there just wasn't enough turnaround time to get that locked down. So that kind of got tossed to the side. So in about a couple months after Christmas, I'd say in February sometime, I sent him another letter. I said, hey, I'd like to interview you in July when I come back to Illinois. And he said, well, he didn't get back, actually. And that was the last I ever heard from him. And we haven't spoken since. But the letters that he did continue to send me, he did give me permission to use his image and his voice and come record him. But he also sent me 2 other letters on top of that, both of which he went into great detail in very circular thought pattern about the reasons as to why he is innocent. He became, it seemed through his writing, very defensive throughout the entirety of the letter itself. I think he sent me at least 15 pages of handwritten letter. But yeah, it kind of informed me a little bit about his character a little bit, but also I personally am one of those people that I didn't want to communicate through writing as well. So I said, I'd rather get this from you in person when I come to interview you. And he said, I understand that. And then I never heard from him. So I don't know what happened. Maybe he saw the film that I put together with Steve and he thought, oh, okay, I don't want to deal with this guy. I don't know. But, and also,
do you still have those letters?
I still have all the letters. I could send those over to you, man.
I would love to see those. I would absolutely love to see that.
Absolutely, man.
And then I could put it up on our website for everybody to see, whatever you want me to do. I mean, I would love to help you out in any way, shape or form.
Cool,
I'm always like, I want to write to prisoners, but I don't want to write to prisoners. I don't know how to start, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't know what to say to these guys. Most of them I think are guilty anyway, and so I'm not going to bullshit them. And I don't want them to bullshit me either. So it's very hard, and I'm impressed with the fact that you were able to just jump in with it that way. Was it easy to just jump in?
No, I tell you, I came at it exactly the way you did. I've never been to a prison before. I've never, communicated with someone, but I really feel the need to, and I honestly do want to know his side of the story. And I just said, I want to get the truth out. I want to get you heard. Please let me know how we can do this and arrange it to happen. And but I went about it the same way you might have, man, just being very honest with him. I don't feel, I wouldn't say uncomfortable or anything, but it kind of is new to me,
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's a story that we need to tell here, and I want to make sure that, we tell it right. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What was
your documentary?
He mentioned in the letters, this was one thing, he mentioned this girl, when he was younger, she was about 10 or 12 years old, and I don't exactly know where he was in space and time, and I think he was around the same age. I think he may have been 14, and I don't know where this was documented, but he wrote this in the letter, and he said that she came to him, and she was bleeding, and I'm going to use some more graphics, but she was bleeding from her vagina, and what happened was that he instinctively tore off part of his shirt, and I think he may have gone to a remote location in the area he was, and he put the piece of shirt on her vagina because it was bleeding. And the police obviously told him that this would be, I guess, constituted sexual harassment, right? Hold on, I'm confirming with my girlfriend right now. Not sexual harassment, but for some reason he was charged with something, but he was younger, so it didn't really like apply as harshly as it might have later. But he worded it in the letter as if there was nothing wrong with what he did. No issue with it. Like this was completely normal behavior for someone to just rip off their clothes and put it on someone's bleeding wound, especially in a place like that. And I'm trying to think of what else. He went in a lot of circles in the writing, but that was one situation that popped out to me. And kind of like, oh, she was, the little girl was attacked. I don't know if you've come across this at all. She was attacked, and then Chester's the one that found her, he says. Did you read anything like that? Any situation like that?
I've seen some interviews with other people that are like, oh, they're trying to pin this on them now too, and
right.
I don't know what to make of it. It was one of those things that I came across later on. So
right. I'll tell you one interview, and I've got a few other facts that kind of haven't been documented or I've seen out and about lately. What would you like to know tell me what you want to know, man.
I'll tell you what, anything regarding Chester Weger we barely got into him with Ray, only because we were kind of telling the story, which the story has been told by Steve, by us, by you.
Right.
So anything that has not been covered, is not like highlighted in your documentary, by God, you feel free.
Okay, because this documentary is not done. I've been so busy with other projects. It's not like I am working on this one, and but there was this one interview that I collected, and it was addressed the subject of it was Alice Rona. Alice Rona is a friend of Chester's, and she's been in contact with him since she was probably 12 years old. He was 12, and I think she was about the same age. And she has a brother named Harold. Now, this is a very interesting part of the case because it's often been up for discussion whether or not Chester did the crime at all, or whether he had helped doing the crime, or there are tons of speculation as to what could happen. And I've been in contact with the Free Chester Uyghur movement, and people from their side of the story have willingly contacted me, and they have sent me a lot of photos, documents, supporting their side of the story. Steve Stout's book does address everything that's against Chester. It points him at the scene of the crime, and the Free Chester Uyghur movement's doing the exact same thing, but the opposite. So, Alice, I'm going to tell you about her story of how she believes her brother is the one that committed the murders. And I'll let you guys be the deciding. Everyone else decide for yourself here. Because when I decided to make the film, I did not want to I wanted to be as objective as possible and let everyone just draw their own conclusions and I don't want to force feed anyone. This is something that has supporters on both sides, really. So Harold, growing up, was not the most obedient child, I would say. In fact, he a lot of the times would beat Alice. And again, Alice was Chester's friend growing up. And I believe Harold and Chester were good buddies as well. Well, Alice went on to tell me about how Chester had dated several women. And every time she went into talking about women in general, she spoke as if Chester had a high respect for them. And I feel as though that's been kind of put in there ever since he's been pinned with the murders themselves because of the women themselves. But every time she says he's a high respecter of women. Let's see. Even these two women that had dated Chester spoke highly of him. But at the same time, let's see. Here we go. I wrote down some notes here. Let's see.